evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Slasher Club, where there is no measure to terror and entertainment. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, sadly, it's the day after Valentine's Day, so we kind of missed our mark. We were going to do it on Valentine's Day, but there was complications with the camera and its battery, so tonight we will be doing our Valentine's Day episode, and for that, we'll be doing a special, very special movie, and sadly, ladies and gentlemen, it's not the kind of movie you think. It's not Valentine's Day, it's not, My Bloody Valentine, nope, it's The Bride of Chucky, which I believe is technically, the title's a parody of Bride of Frankenstein, which we could definitely do next year, if you guys are up for it. But, on to the movie review.
Is that my cue?
Yep.
Alright. In this movie, we have Chucky being revived by his lover, Tiffany, and later on, Chucky goes on to turn her into a doll after she betrayed him just because he wouldn't marry her. And soon Tiffany gets her friend Jesse into this jamble with his girlfriend Jade because Chucky has to find the amulet that was buried with his corpse to put him and Tiff back into regular bodies before time runs out. And they get into a big trouble with the police and detectives due to the mass murders that Chucky and Tiffany are causing.
Despite my cousin's awkward synopsis, it's actually a very good movie, and I'm pretty sure most of you who are watching this have already seen it at least some point in your life. But, on to the main production cast. We have director Ronnie Yu as basically directing the movie. We have producers David Kushner and Grace Gilroy. Written by Don Mancini. Music by Graeme Ravel. Cinematography by Pete Powell. Locations: 51 Parliament Street, Toronto, Ontario, which is basically the police locker. And quick hello to all those who view us in Canada. We thank you for your patronage and for watching anytime you can. And it's great to be reviewing another movie that takes place, or at least has a part, in the Canadian landscape. We have 2143 Lakeshore Boulevard, West Humber Bay, Ontario, which is the hotel scene. We have 4300 Kingston Road, West Hill, Scarborough, Ontario, which is the 24-hour chapel, which is supposed to be near Niagara Falls. And on to the cast. We have Jennifer Tilly as Tiffany Valentine, who is also known for voicing Celia in Monsters, Inc. and Bonnie Swanson in the Family Guy TV show. We have Brad Dourif as Chucky. Katherine Heigl as Jade, who is also known for one of my favorite characters in Grey's Anatomy, Dr. Izzy Stevens, which, again, very interesting character in its own right in said TV series. And she actually does a pretty good job in this movie. Her co-star is Nick Stabile as Jesse, and he's known mostly for Nicholas Kasdan on General Hospital, which, yes, hate me, ladies and gentlemen, I have never seen an episode of General Hospital for the many years it has been, so send the hate in the comments. I'll be waiting. We have John Ritter as Chief Warren Kincaid, which is funny because this is the second person to have Kincaid in his name in horror movie history, from what I know. If you guys remember, we had Kincaid from... Oh, we haven't done that movie, but we have Kincaid in Nightmare on Elm Street. He's also very well known, and this is a huge joke to me. He's very well known for playing Clifford the Big Red Dog in the TV show, the games, the movies. Anything you can find Clifford in, this guy has played him. And it's kind of funny how he goes from Clifford the Big Red Dog, this big, I don't know what kind of dog he is, but he goes from this childhood character that I used to watch to playing a douchebag cop in a Child's Play movie. I mean, how do you get from kids' cartoon to horror movie? I mean, must be a really weird line of work he's in. We have Alexis Arquette as Howard Fitzwater, also known as Damien Baylock. Oh god, that guy. The weirdest fucking character in this movie, and we'll get to more about him later. We have Gordon Michael Wolvett as David Collins, also known for playing James Weckler in iZombie, another favorite show of mine. Which I cannot wait until it comes back soon this year. I believe CW said they're bringing it back in spring, so stay tuned. We have Lawrence Dane as Lieutenant Preston, who's also known for playing Hal Wainwright in Happy Birthday to Me, another well-known horror movie that came before, that came around the time when everyone was obsessed with making a horror movie about holidays. But, we have Michael Lewis Johnson as Officer Needlenose Norton. James Gallanders as Russ, Jeanette Kidder as Diane, Vince Corenza as Officer Robert Bailey, the cop that's killed in the beginning of the movie, who's also known for playing Tuxedo Mask, well, the English version, in a lot of the Sailor Moon franchise, and David Evans in Urban Legends. Which again, another weird lineup for an actor. He goes from playing an anime character to Chucky to Urban Legend. I mean, I'm not even a fan of Sailor Moon, and I find that weird as fuck.
This is a weird cast.
It is. But it's about to get weirder. Because our last cast member is Kathy Najimy, who everyone probably knows that name by now. She is the motel maid, and she's also well known for playing one of the Sanders sisters, Marie, I believe her name is, in Hocus Pocus, and honestly, I fucking hated her character in that movie, and I'm kinda glad they barely gave her any fucking lines in this movie. I mean, next to Winifred, she is the shittiest character. The only witch I kind of liked was the ditzy one. But let's get off her. God, fucking hate her. Let's move on to the slasher stats.
Alright, in this movie, we've got a total of 12 kills. The first one being the officer in the beginning having his throat slit. Damien smothered by a pillow. Jade's uncle impaled in the face with nails and then stabbed later on in the movie. The other cop blown up in a car. A couple in a suite impaled by shards of glass. David run over by a truck. The RV couple shot and killed by Chucky and Tiffany. The gravedigger shot in the head by Chucky. Chucky's death from Jade. And Tiffany's death giving birth.
And you guys are probably wondering why we're not adding Lieutenant Preston to this list. And that's kind of because we kind of never got a confirmation that he's actually dead. We just see the little demon doll child attack him and I think bite his nose, and you'd have to think, I mean, it's really not a confirmed death, so we aren't going to count that.
Am I the only one who noticed that that little fetus bitch looked a lot like a fleshy human baby?
I think I've seen something awkward like that. I can't remember where, but I've definitely seen that kind of design before. Yeah, I can't think of it. But, on to the favorite kills. Which I'll be going first. I have two, actually, for this movie. We have Chief Warren becomes a pincushion. Which, funny story behind that, if you guys caught the joke that Chucky makes right after Warren gets impaled in the face, his line is, and I quote, "Why does that look so familiar?" And if anyone is a huge horror fan like me, despite hating these movies, anyone could tell that Warren basically became the new Pinhead in this movie. I mean, he's just missing a few nails and boom. And just the look of the nails in his face and the look on his face right when he hits the ground, and sadly that's not the end. I mean, I would have been fine with him just dying by nails, but for all you doctors out there, you probably have read this in a medical book or somewhere on the internet, but turns out if you do get impaled by nails, there are a lot of cases where you actually survive as long as they don't puncture a major artery or your speech or any part of your brain that basically tells you to breathe. But then we watch Chucky stab him, which before this, a really great line from Tiffany happens. Were you born with that? No, wait. Is that knife glued to your hand, or were you just born with it? What? Why? Why? Think a little more. I mean, she was basically implying we always see him stabbing someone with his signature knife, or any knife we see him with, because technically there's no signature knife. And then he thinks, get creative. He grabs something that should look familiar to you from the original movie. He grabs a ball-peen hammer, which, again, anyone remembers the first movie, that's what killed the babysitter when she got hit in the head, but this was really creative. I mean, it took me 5 times to watching this movie to actually figure out that it was just a belt of nails, probably from a nail gun, lined up across the airbag and just launched into his face by the sheer force of the airbag. I claim it to be kind of a saw trap, but we both know it's not that creative to be counted as something Jigsaw would come up with. But just throughout this movie, and when he comes back, it's just like, oh shit, he's actually still alive. And I think the lesson we learned from Warren is, don't fucking try and frame some innocent kids for possession of drugs. Because we all know a dirty cop's gonna get his due. But we're gonna move on to the second one. Second one for me is Russ and Diane get shredded. Or, as I said in our last take, they get shattered. Basically what I mean by that is, we watch Tiffany after they steal from Jesse and Jade. They go in, start having sex, and then, because Tiffany's so disgusted at how terrible these people are, which, bitch, look in the fucking mirror, we watch Tiffany throw a champagne bottle at the mirror above them, and we just watch the shards of glass rain down like a fucking snowstorm, and cut the couple. We don't even get to see the aftermath until later on when, Maria Sanders comes in to clean up, but we do actually get to see what happens to the waterbed. All the blood and water mixed together, flowing out like a river. And it's... But just the look on Diana's face as she sees Tiffany, and then as the shards are coming down. And the aftermath is really good too. Amazing special effects. And what I wish I could have found out, because sadly I don't have the DVD commentary for this movie, but I've always wondered how they got such perfect prosthetics for the glass shards, and the body is impaled. I mean, they looked so fucking real. And just the sheer look of the blood and the shards, it's just... This is part of the reason why I couldn't just put Warren's death in, because this is an iconic moment from this movie and from this series. But enough about me. What about you?
My favorite kill has to be your second kill, the mirror shredding the two in the bed. I found it to be the most creative, the most unique in the movie, and so far I found it to be the most creative in the series. And
you actually kind of gotta find it funny, but How does a doll arm throw that fucking far compared to a human arm?
That's what makes it so creative and funny. I like it simply because the irony of a doll being able to do that. It's just, all I gotta say is it's just really creative, and it was very satisfying too, to see them get their just desserts for stealing.
And actually, you gotta notice, a lot in these movies, there's so many amazing feats done by these fucking dolls. Like, so many things get thrown by them. I mean, Jessie gets impaled by a knife in the back by Chucky throwing it. We'll get to another in Seed of Chucky. But so many times, it's just amazing how they fucking got this spring-loaded arm, and it goes so far compared to what a normal human could do.
Yet, ironically enough, in the first movie, a simple gunshot would just throw Chucky across the room.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that. But, on to least favorite kills, which, for me, David gets hit by a truck. I mean, come on. I know we wanted to get rid of the guy pretty quickly because he was kind of slowing down the story, but a truck would not obliterate someone like it did for David. I mean, we've seen people get hit by trucks. We saw it in, Final Destination. We've seen it in, God, fuck me, what? Oh, we've seen it in, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and we've seen it before, or anyone who's seen this movie, we've seen it in, I Know What You Did Last Summer. They've all gotten hit by cars or trucks, and never have I seen someone get obliterated by a truck. I mean, even in real life, you watch, I mean, there's been a few car accidents over on the highway right next to where I live, and their bodies are usually intact, at least. They're dead, but their bodies are intact. So this is the most unrealistic piece of shit scene I've seen, and I get the whole grill being getting broken in the front. I mean, that's the one realistic part of this movie. I mean, even a deer would do that to a grill, but no, David would not have gotten obliterated, and it just looks so cheap, and it's just a throwaway kill. What about you?
My least favorite kill has to be Chucky getting shot by Jade in a grave. I just found it to be, kind of a letdown for the character, considering all of his previous deaths. Like, in the first movie, he gets torched and set on fire in the fireplace.
And
he was
shot.
Kicking then. And then in the second movie, he gets melted and torn in half and everything. The third movie, he's chopped up by propellers in a carnival ride. But just getting shot by Jade, that seemed very boring for me, especially for this character.
I didn't find it that boring. I mean, it did give us a great line. Go ahead, shoot, I'll be back.
I always come back.
But dying is such a bitch.
That was the one good quality I found in that kill, but I just didn't like the lack of creativity it had.
I mean, yeah, but what are you gonna do? He was basically at a grave site. On to the facts. We have budget of $25 million, box office of $50.7 million. So it looks like they doubled their profits. First movie to have Chucky in the title, and this is going to be a big trend until we get back to the 2019 when it comes out this year. We have multiple horror references can be found in the evidence locker, like Leatherface's chainsaw, a Jason-esque hockey mask. There's Freddy's glove. I saw Michael Myers' mask, the William Shatner mask. And actually, I didn't see this, but someone pointed it out on, I believe, Wikipedia or on the trivia in IMDb. But turns out there's a Creepshow box in there. Now, I haven't seen Creepshow, so I wouldn't really know what the box would look like. But if you do know it, let me know and comment the location. We have November 8th, 1988 can be seen on Charles Lee Ray's tombstone. And actually, funny thing is, that's the date that Child's Play was released. So, basically, Charles Lee Ray dies on the same day his own movie was released. Which is pretty fucking cool. A pretty cool Easter egg. The doll sex scene was improvised, which I'm pretty sure we could all figure out. I mean, that line, oh wait, Chucky, do you have a rubber? Tiff? I'm all rubber!
I thought you were plastic.
It's weird as fuck. Damien Baylock's name is a reference to The Omen, which we've got Damien the little kid, and then one of the nannies is actually named Miss Baylock. Takes place a month right after Child's Play, which kind of seems dumb. Living Dead Girl and Thunder Kiss 65 by Rob Zombie can be heard in the film, which
I loved it.
We all did. It's just such a great soundtrack, and there's actually one little secret we're going to get to soon about Rob Zombie in this movie. Chucky referenced The Exorcist by turning his head all the way around towards Damien. So that's a little fun fact for you Exorcist fans out there. Tiffany is referencing Alexis Arquette's role in Pulp Fiction when she yells at him for lying about killing someone, which, what's funny is, in Pulp Fiction, and I've only seen parts of this movie, sadly, if we do review it, I will definitely watch it, but turns out in the movie, Alexis Arquette, which turns out she's actually a he, or I think they're transvestite or transgender, but turns out, actually, in Pulp Fiction, they shoot 6 shots at the main characters and misses every shot. Which, you can probably understand why it's a callback in this movie, because he never even killed anyone, and neither did his character in Pulp Fiction. But at least in this movie, he didn't miss every shot. He just sucked at makeup. Both Rob Zombie and his younger brother, Spider-1, played on the soundtrack, actually. I believe his brother's song was Power Man 5000, which I'd have to look that up on the soundtrack, but I might be right. So it's actually really cool that both Rob Zombie and his younger brother had a hand in the soundtrack for this movie. Which also is kind of a, I wouldn't call it a callback, but it's pretty cool since they worked on this movie, and then Brad Dourif ended up on Rob Zombie's Halloween later on as the main officer. Damien's character was actually created with Marilyn Manson in mind, because on there's actually two pictures of Marilyn Manson. There's there's the look we all know him by, the dark, gothic, vampire-ish look, and then there's what he was originally before he became, I guess I'd call him the god of death right now. But he actually kind of looks a bit nerdy. Basically, take the look of Damien in this movie and then what they showed of him in the news report, and then go look for Marilyn Manson's real look right under the makeup and with the makeup, and they look so similar. Sadly, Marilyn Manson couldn't be a part of the movie. He would have been great for that part, since it's basically him. Tiffany's Pet Tarantula was CGI. Bride of Frankenstein was selected in the National Film Registry in 1998, which is part of the reason why it was in this movie. And this is Brad Dourif's favorite Child's Play movie. And I'm pretty sure it's a lot of our favorites. And one of our first horror movies that most of us have watched from the Child's Play movie. I didn't even know there were any others before Bride of Chucky until I actually researched it when I was 10. But, on to the opinion. And I'll let you go first.
Alrighty. What is my opinion on this movie? Well, I honestly, right now, it's one of my favorites in this series. It takes away the storyline of Andy and brings Chucky into a new storyline with new characters who honestly I just found to be a mess. But we did get a good character design for Chucky in this movie, showing just how scary and badass he can really be. And the addition of a new doll, Tiffany, I really like that too. Plus there are a lot of funny jokes in this movie too. I even wrote down how there was something similar to a fourth wall break that Chucky made. He said something about if this were a movie, it would take about 3 or 4 sequels to make to explain his whole storyline.
Which is funny because it basically did, this was the 4th movie, so it basically did take 4 or 5 movies just to tell their whole life story.
It had great jokes. It had It had a good design for the character. The story was alright. I'm not going to say it was great, but the story was feasible. It was bearable. I didn't like some of the characters, though, because I thought they were just a complete mess. Especially Jesse and Jade. The only two characters I really liked were Chucky and Tiffany. So I'd have to give this movie a solid 8.
For me, I did like a lot of the cinematography. There were a lot of great shots. The opening is actually one of my favorite scenes in this movie. The transition of the Child's Play, the Pride of Chucky title, zooming in and then out, the look of it above the warehouse, the huge references seen during the lightning storm in the lockup was actually a huge win for all us horror fans. And actually it confirms that Child's Play happens in the same universe as Nightmare on Elm Street, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, and Friday the 13th, which is actually a really cool hint. And a while back, I think 2017, after the last movie that came out, they were actually thinking of doing a Freddy vs. Chucky movie, which we don't know if it's gonna happen. We don't know if it's gonna stay in development hell, but I read the concept and it's actually pretty cool, so thank God they kinda create a bit of continuity between the movie, all three major horror icons, and sadly, we can't confirm that Pinhead's a part of this series, because basically Chucky mentions the movie, and they kind of counts him out as a real person in that movie. But I also like a lot of the lighting. It wasn't, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies weren't that good at lighting the sets. It looked kind of bad, but here, lighting was amazing. You could see the characters. You could actually make out what was happening in the scene. There wasn't a huge flash every 5 seconds that would blind you. But
I never noticed that in the movies.
For some reason you didn't, but I did.
That's probably because you were watching them in the dark.
Maybe.
I had to use light because I had to write down everything.
But characters, yeah, Jesse and Jade were kind of a mess, but they were a bit of a refreshment away from Andy, which we all know he comes back later on in the series, and we'll cover that. But Needle Nose sucked. His actor reminded me of one of those stupid joke characters that just popped in whenever they wanted and just had no point in the movie except to be a douche or just comedy relief. The uncle, he was okay, but again, no development. Diana and Russ were just to move along the story. They were boring characters.
They were douches.
Honestly, if we took out Needle Nose, Diana and Russ, and the uncle, basically this movie would survive without them. Tiffany and Chucky. I mean, bringing Tiffany in actually was a huge improvement on the cast. We now know a bit more about Chucky's past in these movies, and
as we go on, his past will get more twisted.
Yeah, and honestly, not too fond of how this was the start of the decline in major horror movie to horror comedy, which actually kind of ruins the movies in the next one, which it follows them and it just seems really stupid. But here, they found a way to make it work. The special effects, like with Diana and Russ's death, the death of Warren, that makeup, the special effects done with the blood, and just finding a way to make them work. I gotta give a huge hand to the special effects teams and the makeup teams and the lighting teams for just getting it right. Oh, and the prop teams for figuring out the prosthetics and how to make it look more realistic. And that's kind of hard to do nowadays because not everyone knows how a person's supposed to look when you've not really seen an actual dead person or someone actually dying like that. So I really gotta give props to them. The ending scene, it was awkward as hell.
Disgusting.
The coroner office worker getting shot. I mean, we could have at least been able to see it. It would have made more sense. The whole fight between Chucky and Tiffany with shovels was really stupid, but this movie did have great jokes.
Rude fucking doll.
Oh god, yes, the stoner. And for some reason I felt like he had more lines, but I never heard him again. There were just a lot of throwaway characters that weren't really needed in this movie. But despite those characters, the movie works. It's still a really great movie, and I'll give it a 10 out of 10. I mean,
Really?
yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorites, and again, it makes what it had work. And that's just a huge achievement for one of these movies. So, yeah, my score is staying at 10 out of 10, and
Overall rating is a 9 out of 10.
okay. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week for Seed of Chucky. Happy Valentine's Day, and hopefully you had a great time with your loved ones and whoever you were with on last night. I actually had a great time with my girlfriend at a planetarium watching romance stories for about 45 minutes, which I really wish it was longer, but maybe comment down in the comment section what you did, or maybe another movie you want us to do for next Valentine's Day. Please, for those who are watching right now, if you actually like these videos or actually got to the end of the video to at least this point, please at least give us a like or comment your opinion on the review so we know what we could do better, or how we can improve on the look. But so yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and click that little notification bell for our next few videos so you can keep up to date. And any final words?
Comedy is worth seeing.
Huh. I figured. Don't get stoned when you're around a doll.
That works.
So good night, goodbye, and again, happy Valentine's Day, ladies and gentlemen. We hope you had a bloody Valentine.